right, hello everyone, and welcome to Teach Your Coworkers New Tricks. I'm Lindsey McGrath. I'm going to be teaching you how to take everything you learn at the CET conference and pull it out of your brain, put it on paper, and teach it to your coworkers. So kind of what to expect, other than what I just said, was you'll learn how to take notes during the presentation, the different platforms that you can use for trainings, how to condense and share all of your knowledge with your new coworkers, and then the tips and tricks I've learned along the way, both presenting and just using CET every day. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Western Pennsylvania on Lake Erie, and then I left to attend school in West Virginia. I studied abroad in Linköping, Sweden, where CET is headquartered, and then I came back with every intention of moving back there after graduation, work at an IKEA, marry a guy named Sven, take up glass blowing as a hobby, eat meatballs, you know, very Swedish stuff. And actually their Instagram page makes me miss it even more. Not that long ago, they had a picture of this church in town that you can see from their office windows. And I used to hang out in that little square outside of there all the time. So it really makes me miss it. But instead, I came back for my senior year of college, met my husband, fell head over heels blushing, butterflies, all that, and stayed stateside. So I'm currently an interior designer at Elements Interiors in Dayton, Ohio. I've been using CET since 2012. I learned at a Steelcase dealership, and I will never go back to specifying the old way. As far as languages I speak Hayworth, Steelcase, Herman Miller, and a tiny bit of Swedish. And I'm thinking about maybe learning Knoll next. We'll see. I'm a mom of 2 wonderful boys, and I have 3 dogs and 2 cats, and I do realize that's too many. And then I'm also a proud Air Force wife, which means I could be coming to a city near you live and in person, so please hire me. I've always loved leading office trainings. When I was at the Steelcase dealership, we had around 12 designers. A few worked part-time and a few worked from home. And a few of you are actually in the trainings now, so thank you. Hello. I missed you guys. So I had to be very creative when presenting and using different programs to pull all of the ideas into a PowerPoint. The weirdest experience of my life was teaching from my home office with none of my coworkers in front of me. I kind of felt like Kate Sword, but like not as cool or suave. So kind of like today, but anyway, in case you can't tell, I'm an extrovert, and we love being around people and seeing their reactions. Although after this presentation, I may not feel the same way. There's a lot of you out in this audience, and even though I can't see your faces, I can still read your comments, so please be nice. But first off, let's talk about extroverts versus introverts. There's a raise your hand feature that if you want to go ahead and raise your hand if you're an extrovert, so we can see who all's out there. You'll notice I didn't ask the introverts to raise their hand because they never would. Extroverts are always very excited to be around people. The quarantine was really hard for us. So for those unlucky introverts who have to go back and teach this, all this knowledge you're learning at the conference to your coworkers, I'm going to give you some tools to help you bring you out of your shell and present all the knowledge you've absorbed at this conference and teach it to your coworkers with confidence. Because as many of you may already know or are currently experiencing, while you're at the conference, you're absorbing information so quickly it feels like your brain will explode. It doesn't get much better when you get home, I'm sorry. So, first thing, whether you attend the conference in person or virtually, is to write down the name of the presentation and the presenter. Well, here's the one you're in currently, How to Teach Your Coworkers New Tricks with Lindsey McGrath. You can also apply these tips and tricks to any of your Solomon Coil trainings or dealership-led trainings. It really will help with that. Next, this is to decide how you want to take notes. You can write down your notes. I personally have horrific handwriting, so if I write them down, I won't be able to read them later. You can type them on your laptop. You can use a note-taking app like Evernote, Simple Note, or Microsoft OneNote. I hear that they're cloud-based, so you can access them from multiple devices, which is kind of cool. And then you can even take pictures with your phone. So if there's a slide that strikes something with you, go ahead and just take a picture of it, you know, whatever works for you. And then screenshots are my personal favorite. You can use TechSmith Capture, which was formerly known as Jing, ShareX, and then most computers come standard with a snipping tool. So I think it's called Snagit or Snippet. You can usually pull those up to just save screenshots. I like TechSmith Capture in particular because I can add my notes on top of it, and then I can actually read them and reference them later. I'll even create folders with training titles. Here's an example of one that I have. Oh, I don't know how to get out of my screen. Figure that out later. But anyway, another important thing that you can do while you're at conferences, especially in person, is exchange business cards with people so you can follow up with questions later and say, hey, do you remember that cool trick they did, or how did they do that? But with this being virtual, you may have to connect in the comments question section or reach out to friends who you know attended the trainings. If anyone in this virtual presentation would like to be an Ask Me Anything contact, you can drop a note in the chat box with AMA email address, and then people can reach out to you as well. Another place would be the follow-up briefcases. You can ask questions on there. I know I ignore those a lot of the times, so finding a buddy is definitely the best way to do it. There are some dealerships that are really small, so sometimes they only have 1 or 2 CET users, and they don't have a lot of people to reference in the office, so it can be kind of nice to offer yourself as an AMA. Also, introverts, it's a great chance to branch out a little bit, and it's usually through email, so you don't actually have to talk to people. For tech-savvy people, you can record your thoughts and feelings of the events before and after sessions. You don't have to live stream it, but it could be used as a tool later to reflect on what you learned. Some people just do better with talking it out. And then the most important thing is to take a deep breath and relax, because you'll be able to find all these presentations online later. So the toolkit. How do you get all this out of your brain? Here's my personal toolkit. I like to keep in mind CET, PowerPoint. I'm a nerd for PowerPoint, which you'll find out as we go on. TechSmith Capture, and then Zoom whenever I have to do things virtually. So with PowerPoint, cool graphics. I mean, you saw how that flew in there, pretty cool. And then there's other places you can reach out to get graphics and create your own symbols as Canva, Easily, Pixlr, I think is how you say that one, and Unsplash. And it's also easy to store in your network. Some places have Publisher, which I find can be a little easier to use, but not everyone uses Publisher. So if you keep it in PowerPoint, even if your company converts in the future and they don't buy outside of the regular Microsoft package suite, which includes PowerPoint, then you can still access all of the hard work that you've done. And the best part is you can take it with you if you decide to go somewhere else. And it's really easy to add videos, which I'll show you the programs that I use for that. My very first and favorite tool, and mostly because back in the day we used to be able to say, oh, you can Jing it, but Capture it doesn't sound as fun, it sounds a little creepier, but TechSmith Capture, you can download it for free. This is what the website looks like. You just go to TechSmith Capture and then click the download, and they'll pick for the different versions. And with that, you can use the program to create notes, as I've done here. This was actually a rendering one that I believe Kelsey led this past spring during COVID times. And so I kind of took notes on all the new settings and was able to save it, because again, I type faster than I can write, and then I can definitely read it later. So I'm going to go ahead and try to show you a demo of Capture Now. Once you download it, there'll be this little symbol down here, kind of looks like half an envelope in yellow. It used to be a little sunshine in the top corner, which is much cheerier, but it's fine, it works the same. So what you do is you go ahead and open it, and this little guy will pop up. Very simple to use. Say Capture, and then I can create a screenshot of what I want. Hit this camera button to actually capture the image. This one here, I can make a video, which I use to make some of the ones you'll see later. But you'll hit Capture Image, and then from there, this is the part that I think sets it apart from Snagit, Snippet, and all the other ones. I can change the color of my notes. I can add arrows. I can add my call outs. So I can say, this is cool, you know, whatever, if I can type. Designers are not known for spelling. You can add shapes, so I'll even do this to send something real quick to a salesperson an email to highlight. There's a highlight one. So much you can do. You can do things. If you don't like what you did, you can delete it. You cannot copy and paste though. My only beef with Capture is that I can't just copy and paste my arrows throughout. You have to add a new one each time, but by far it's been my favorite one. And I've been using this program longer than I've been using CET, so it's a good one. Oh, and I'll ask you when you go to close out if you want to continue editing or close preview. I always hit close preview. You can upload it to Screencast, which kind of keeps all of your snips and things that you make on a cloud type platform, but I prefer to just save it, just save a regular copy somewhere on my network where I need it. So by far my favorite tool. So let me continue this from my current slide. So here's another example of some more notes taken during trainings, where I can just say, you know, this is one where they were showing us in 11.0 how you can ghost your walls now, and color tags, how to print those and things like that. It's been a game changer for me. I'll usually just open a folder or start a folder during the beginning of the training and just save all my screenshots in there. I don't normally name my screenshots. I may go through afterwards and do that, but in the time I just let it save it with its generic title so that I can keep moving. ShareX is another great one. Actually, if you've ever received a video from Brandon at CET, like showing you how to do something, this is what he uses. So it's a little more techy, not as fluffy as Capture, but it does work similarly. So I'll go ahead and show you guys how that one works. You open it up and it looks like this. For Capture, you can pick full screen, window, pick your different things. I mostly use this one for videos, just because of how I personally like to work, but it has all of these different things that you can explore, and these are some of the captures that saves them in there for me, and then I can move those to my network and do whatever I want with them. All right. Next. Big suggestion would be to definitely let you use a technology that allows you to see each other's faces. There's way too many of us at this conference to actually do that today, but when you're doing your own office trainings, it's just your coworkers and it's, you know, less intimidating. Definitely make sure you can see each other's faces. Number one, it'll keep them from trying to do other work at the same time and not listen to you, but it just makes everyone feel more connected. So in order to do that, I know our office is returned fully to the building, but we have a very small office. Some people are still using remote platforms for training, so WebEx, Google Hangouts, Zoom, Adobe, Microsoft Teams, and Slack. Zoom's my preference, and then Microsoft Teams is what we also use a lot of at work. So, oh, and then also with the, let's go back a slide. Another thing you can do, Haywork dealerships out there, we have a program called Bluescape. I don't know if other dealerships have things similar, but we could create a Bluescape canvas and, you know, kind of put all of our thoughts and stuff in there as well that everyone could access. So that's another way that you could do it. So what I promised you, how are you going to bring the conference back to work? So this is in Vegas. What happens at the conference doesn't have to stay at the conference, unless we do the conference in Vegas again and then, you know, watch us at some ground rules. But in general, you should definitely share everything. Share all the experiences, get everyone excited about it. You're gonna come back so energized with so much info that you wanna share with everyone. And, you know, it's really good to get people excited for the next year so then they can come and then you don't have to do all this again next year with the presenting. Make them present and you can just come and enjoy the conference. So next step, you're going to need to set up some follow-up training. So some more in-depth sessions, set up training goals. Big thing is to respect your coworkers' time. I would suggest lunch and learns or keeping the trainings to 1 hour or less. The first part of a great lunch and learn is getting the boss to buy lunch, because your coworkers will already be excited to come. So lunch and learns actually work really well. But sometimes we get busy and we can't always do lunch and learns. So you can either, if you have weekly meetings, maybe incorporate micro-learning and share 1 tip per week. You can schedule one-on-one or smaller group trainings based on people's skill levels. I know sometimes there's very experienced CET users at a company, and then there's beginners. So you may want to break that out into different sessions so it doesn't go over people's heads or keep people bored. You can invite people from other groups if the material will be beneficial to them. Think of people like project managers, salespeople, and then mix it up. Vary your content and delivery to include images, how-to videos, Q&As. If you're a little extra, like a Pinterest work mom type, you can make up a fun game or a way to remember the information. We actually did this recently for a Hayworth training. They had us do a crossword puzzle and something else, and I thought it was going to be absolutely ridiculous, but I loved it, and I actually remembered the information. So it actually can be fun, and I'm sure you can find some things out there that you can just kind of adapt. So an idea of how you can break up your schedule. You can set up your CET training, see a little CET experience pop up there. So maybe in October in your design meeting, right after the conference, so whenever that falls, you can kind of give an overview of the conference and let them know what topics were covered, which trainings you attended, which ones you're most excited about, which ones you think might be the most beneficial to everyone, and try to get them on the calendar. So here's a breakdown of maybe how you can take some of the ones that are being presented over the next couple days. Maybe in November you can do a lunch and learn and do rendering tips and maybe use creating realistic materials. Those are 2 that could go well together. Then in December, it's always not busy work-wise, but it's busy vacation-wise. So maybe you just kind of cover spec checks. January lunch and learn could be an after install drawings and after the install. This might be a great one to invite a PM to, or if you have a lead installer that might have some suggestions that might be helpful. That could be really great, or even set up a follow-up training to that where you invite the PM or the installers. February micro-learning, you can talk about the reconfiguration tool, although this one can be complicated, but I'm sure after we learn about it this year at the conference, we might be able to finally get it down into a micro-learning. But again, that's on everyone's comfort level. I'm not very good at that tool, but it's up to you. These are just suggestions. And then your March lunch and learn, great presentation methods and live design. The big thing is you don't want to wait so long that you forget everything you learned at the conference, but you also don't want to overwhelm yourself. It can be a lot of work to collect and put together a presentation, but you can kind of save it and add on to it at your own comfort level. So try not to wait too long. Definitely try to get them to decide what topics they want to talk about as soon as possible so that you can kind of get to work. And if there are multiple of you from the office, decide, okay, who's going to lead which training and kind of break it up. So now that you know now that you know what you want to teach, now you need flashy presentation templates, right? No, actually you can just save time and borrow the CET ones. This has been my trick for years. So I didn't update my slide yet. I said they could be found here, but technically I'm going to tell you where you can find them. Sorry about that, guys. But you'll actually be able to find them in a briefcase that will be posted after the conference. And this presentation that you see right here is actually from 2014, the first time I attended the CET conference. I still have it. I know I probably have a hoarding problem, but it's come in handy now. You can kind of see how the template's changed over the years. So now that you have your template, which you've borrowed from CET, what do I put in it? How do I condense it all down? So the biggest thing is to make it your own. You don't just want to teach someone else's slides. I mean, you're more than welcome to tell everyone about me and, I went to West Virginia University and here's a picture of my kids, but they don't want to see that. They really just want some of probably the tips and tricks for my slides, some of the how-to videos. So what's great was PowerPoint again, I'm a nerd for PowerPoint, is that you can just copy and paste slides out of it. You don't need to take the full presentation. So I actually did that. Here's an example below of one that I did for my office back when I worked for a Steelcase dealership about rendering tips. And pro tip on this one, add notes in so that they can pull up the presentation later and read it instead of bothering you. But know that you're still gonna have to be open for people to come and ask questions. But it's just kind of nice to put as much information in there as possible. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up so you can see in a little more detail what I did. All right, so this is when the shiny white floor was still a little bit newer. So I was just trying to show them where it was located. And then we had a transparent ceiling. We actually ended up having a girl come in who had a favorite saved and with just the right transparency and all that. And so we saved it on the network. I saved it on my thumb drive and I still use it to this day. My new coworkers love it as well. And it's teaching them how to do things like that. And then I took, these are actual settings that were shown in one of the presentations. And then I just added my own notes, kind of talking about this setting helps with the sharpness. And this obviously looks different now. This was only from 2017, but it's changed a little bit since then. But adding lots of notes so they can read things and kind of leave me alone later. And then we kind of went more into the quality of things that we wanted to show. So keeping anti-alias set to this for this type of thing. Again, it's much easier nowadays with how it's set up. CET's really stepped up the game on that one. Here's another slide. Another one. So I took some of my own personal renderings that I was working on at the time and tried to show some of the different things. This was for a bid that I worked on. So let's go back to the other presentation. All right. So probably the biggest thing you can do is to include live trainings on how to do things. And this is where Capture or ShareX will really come in handy with that video feature. Because I know the first time that I saw this trick at the CET conference, where they take the storage piece and they flip it and make it easier to move the drawers and stuff and modify it, it took a lot of practice. And if I would have known that I could have just recorded myself doing it and waited till I got it right, instead of trying to practice in front of my coworkers, it probably would have been a lot less nerve-wracking. But yeah, so if you're not comfortable doing the live trainings, then you can go ahead and do videos. So you can insert your video clip into PowerPoint just like I have. This shows you kind of starting to rotate. And here's me watching it as my mind's blown. So it's just like, what, this is a thing? Like, this is amazing. And I think the guy was saying he created it for personal use. It wasn't even something he thought would be helpful for us, but it ended up changing my world. So from there, you can click on things and change the meshes and stuff like that. It was yeah, awesome. So it was huge for me. So here's some of the screenshots that I actually saved from that. As I started to practice and learned to, fumbled through teaching it to my coworkers, I wanted to try to have steps to show them later. And then recently after that, Kate Sword taught it in one of her trainings. So I took some notes from that as well. This is back from CET 7.0, so it was a while ago. So I went through and I took notes. I'm like, you select this option and then you hit the rotate. And then I went into detail, placed it here. I still have all these screenshots and I've taken them with me over the years. So it's pretty awesome. So again, I really enjoy it. Another tip that I have for you is don't be monotone. Pull out your inner entertainer. They always say be enthusiastic, it's contagious, but it's true. Anytime someone from Michigan leads a conference, you can't help but pay attention because their accent has natural inflections, kind of adorable, but it keeps them from being monotone and boring. So definitely try to not be that. Leverage technology and test it out before the meeting begins. There's nothing worse than when you get to the meeting and you can't get stuff to play. There was one I was doing live where I made a video, but I didn't insert it properly. So on my end, it's playing, but on the end for my coworkers in Pittsburgh, they couldn't see the video playing or hear the sound, so that was a little frustrating. So I definitely should have tested that out in advance. Add in some humor. Again, PowerPoint with their graphics, always on point. Not really looking for like a stand-up routine, but keep it light, share a story from the conference. Also, try not to talk too fast. This isn't a Hot Wheels commercial. I'm probably dating myself with that, but Hot Wheels commercials, the guy talks extremely fast. I know extroverts will be excited to share our knowledge, but just dial it back, speak slowly and clearly. And then if you have any handouts that you can send them in advance, that would be really helpful, so that they can actually, go ahead and review that with you. All right, so those are my presentation tips and tricks. I hope you've learned how to effectively pull stuff out of your brain and put it onto paper. I am always available if someone wants to post something in a briefcase. I will try to pay attention, and I'm always a contact that you can ask questions to. I love helping people. And with that, I'm now going to give you some of my tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. So, drum roll please. Moving panel tags. I have no idea why this is so difficult, but it's been difficult. I've used CET with Steelcase and Hayworth, and it's been difficult at both. And I also don't understand why we just can't have the tags come in beautiful and perfect to begin with, but designer's dreams, I guess, feature request it, like Kate would say. But I always get so annoyed when I'm trying to move panel tags. So I've put together a video showing you one way that you can move panel tags. So you'll be clicking away, especially if you have glass stackers or anything on there, forget it, you can't move tags. But once you don't have stackers, much easier. So if you hit the rectangle select and you select the area that you want to work on and flick it off to the side, you can then just click on the tag. You don't even click on the panel, and you can just drag away. Makes it so much faster, so much easier. It's really helped me out a lot. There's that. What I like with the rectangle select and just doing a certain area, if you have a large drawing, then you don't have to worry about accidentally moving something else in another area. You can just focus on the area of the screen that you're in. Another thing that you can do with the changing panel types, so this is when you add in the panel elevations and it goes from A to double Z, and you're like, I have to pare these down. My installers are going to go nuts when they see all these letters. So this is how you can do that. You can use the previous method, but this one here shows you the select all. So that is where you go up, and right now, see, I'm trying to click on there, and sometimes it works. Once I have a glass stack in there, I can't really do it. But as soon as I hit that select all feature, I can easily just click on each one and make the panel types change as I want. It's very nice. So that's been another game changer for me. All right, so this one, the people have been using CET in here longer will understand this. So back in the day, we didn't have the outline overlay tool. We kind of had to do a contour image and then apply it as a watermark and then dial it back. That's how we used to create that look. But now when you goes to panel, you can't use the outline overlay, so you still don't get some of the crispness. And here in particular, you can see my outlets are just kind of weird little blobs on there. But here, where I've done the outline over, or my contour image on top of it with my watermark, you can actually see some of the definition again, and it just kind of helps it look cleaner, crisper, and I think more professional. So how do you create this look? Here is a video that I put together for you guys. And these videos, I don't know the difference between which ones were ShareX or Capture. They both work seamlessly with videos, so both are great options when you want to do some how-to videos. And then again, you don't have to do this in person. Like, I can talk to you now instead of trying to sit here and click on everything. So what I did was I ran my contour, clicked on watermark, inserted it, and then you change the opacity. I kind of like the opacity a little bit higher but for this particular one, I wanted to go just a tad bit lower. It does help your ghost panel stand out a little bit as well, so that's been kind of nice. We can go ahead and look at that again. You kind of see the difference as I switched back and forth there between views. So just to refresh on that one, what I did was I already had my rendering with ghost panels. I didn't save this in advance or anything. I just created a new view, ran it as a contour image. Here it is, just to save time. I saved that into the project folder, so you'll actually save that file. You go to watermark, you find it, apply it, and then you just dial it back. The big thing is you cannot change cropping or anything after this, so make sure the original image has what you wanted. You can always crop it in a third-party program, but you won't be able to do it in this part. And that's it. That's one that's been very helpful for me. So you can just kind of see the difference there as it switches back and forth between the watermark and no watermark. All right, so my one coworker always says Jazzy. We make fun of her, but now I'm saying it in a presentation, so I guess she won. How to make jazzy carpet patterns. So sometimes the CET ones are great and they work fine, but sometimes you work with architects or some clients that want to actually see the carpet in there that they've selected. So you'll go ahead and go to the manufacturer's website. Sometimes they just give you a view like this. I love when they give me these multi-tile views down here, because then I can just use my capture tool and save that and then put it into the material lab and make my carpet tile. I also really like when they have the ones with multiple stripe patterns and they can show you the multi-tile like this. And then what I'll do is I'll save those, I'll capture them, take them into PowerPoint, because again, a nerd for PowerPoint. And then I'll make my own pattern out of them. I'll use the capture tool. I'll show you here. I've put my individual ones in and rotated them. This is actually from the other pattern, but put it in there. Take my capture tool. Doesn't have to be perfect either because it's a random pattern. And then I hit save it wherever I need to. And then now it's time to apply it into CET. So I've already gone through the material lab. I've made them materials on my own, kind of played with scale a little bit. Could probably play a little bit more. I was just trying to do this for training. But this will show you between the Shaw campus one that I made versus the tiny one that we saw on that website where I said that's kind of nice when they make it for you already. This is the one that they, it is a little fuzzy and blurry up close. And then this is the one that I made. So I didn't know this until not that long ago. I probably learned it in a training and forgot about it. But you can just type into the search for the material name. So I know I wanted metallic silver. And then when I see it, I'm like, oh, yep, there it is. That's the one I wanted. Super easy, and then I can apply it. And then my last and biggest tip is whenever you set up your CET, save screenshots of the settings. So every one of those, the general, region, views, graphics, security, CET is really good about the updates. You don't really lose a lot of those settings. There might be one or two that get, and we complain about it enough, they'll fix it eventually, or just fix it yourself. But you know, sometimes you get a new laptop, or you know, you may leave to go to a different dealership and you want to set up your CET there.